Awesome. So super excited to be here with Heather and um yeah, this is like the third one of these podcast episodes I've recorded, so I don't like have a particular fancy structure or anything like that. So um we were both excited to do this. Is there anything you want to share to get started, or would you like me to start by sharing something? Where are you at?
Sure. I'll share that I've been in the super consciousness mentorship program for a little over a couple months. And I've always loved synchronicities. That's kind of been my thing forever. And the level of synchronicities I'm kind of experiencing is getting more enjoyable. But I think my new favorite thing is when I have when I close my eyes and see mental imagery and have feelings and sensations. And then when my eyes are open, I have experiences that reflect back to me that internal construct. That is, yeah, probably my new favorite thing that I can't wait to have more experiences of.
Oh, that's super awesome to hear. Yeah, so just for reference, the super consciousness program you're referring to is my multi-month program. So I super appreciate that you're in it, and I invite other people to inquiry and want to join it. And so you're talking about the inner imagery becoming the outer imagery or an outer experience. Like, what are some examples of that?
So I often feel like I'm flying when I have my eyes closed, and I love the sensations of flight. And oftentimes it's like diving into the ocean or flying over the ocean or something like that. And I was recently on a hike on the coast of Spain, and there were all these rocks with holes in them, and the ocean waves were crashing because it was high tide, and then the spray was coming up through the rocks, or in some areas, just the air was being pushed through the rocks. So as I'm walking by, there was this one area where I just closed my eyes and the salt air was pushing my hair back, and it felt like flight. And I was so joyful. And I was like, this is the experience I just had the other day with my eyes closed. And I'm not actually cliff diving, but I am, yeah, here having an experience that totally relates to it.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. So like you're having the inner experience of the inner reality is like super vivid. You feel like you're flying. That's from the experience that I'm facilitating. And then you're going through it. And then here you are out on the side of a cliff or whatever, having the same experience. Do you have other examples that are like the increase in synchronicity and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, there was another similar experience I had when I was in Finisterre, which means end of the world. I was up on top of a cliff, and I had just officially finished my hiking that I've been doing for several months. And there were powerful waves crashing, and I was up high, way higher than the ocean. um, but the sun was setting, so the golden light I always see was aligned with me perfectly, and then I'm feeling the ocean breeze on my skin. And I'm really excited because I just finished this hike, so I also have all the feelings and sensations that I experience when I'm connected to source. So it was the visceral experience, the feelings, the sensations, and it's like so many layers of the things that I was experiencing with my eyes closed are then happening outside of me, and it's like this feels like magic, and I just want to keep doing this.
That's so awesome to hear. All right, so you're talking about like this feels like magic and you want more of that. So like how being a part of the program contributed to that?
So I've had synchronicities before in my life, and they kind of come at times of transition or when I there was a lot of uncertainty, and I didn't feel like it was me that had an active role in creating them. It felt more like this external universe was showing me what to do or showing me my path. But now it feels way more like a co-creation, and yeah, it empowers me, or I'm building a lot more trust to pay attention to what I'm thinking and feeling because it's being directly reflected back to me in my reality.
Oh, that's amazing. like as you're saying that, like this the co-creative experience with it, like what's that like? What are some examples of that?
Um, a co-creative experience. So one of the things that I really want to work on is um, acting on my soul's calling and moving forward on my path. And I've had all these ideas for forever, and I've never taken action. And lately, things have just been falling into place in such a way where I feel supported and able to take action. Like there was this soul aligned business masterclass that I got to be a part of as we were doing this work. And then I had a vision in my head, and you shared the idea about AI ideograms. So I was able to actually create the branding for it and create a Facebook group. And so it's just been like all the little bits of information that I've needed are being presented, and I'm trusting enough to take the action. But the initial synchronicity that I was going to share that just happened this week, which is really cool. I have a friend in Hawaii who's a human design coach, and she told me a while ago about her friend in Ibiza who runs a hiking tour company. And she's like, you should follow him, maybe you would want to do something similar. So I followed him, didn't think much of it. And then about a month ago, I was in Bari, Italy, and it was random, not expected to be part of my travels at all. And I met this lovely couple, and they lived in Ibiza, and I didn't think anything of it. And then I was looking on my Facebook, and I see this guy that looks familiar in the Ibiza hiking club. And it's this guy I met in Bari. And I'm like, hey, I met you in Bari. And my friend Uli in Hawaii knows you. And I don't, it just feels like external confirmation that something like that is the path. And yeah, it's just funny when these things happen. I just laugh and feel delighted.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. I love when like the synchronicities stack up in ways that are just like, whoa, like the what are the probabilities of this? Um, yeah, and you mentioned the human design. I'm a huge fan of human design as well. So
What's your energy type and authority?
yeah, so I'm a generator, so it's sacral authority. And I'm also a 6-2, which is role model hermit profile.
Huh. I'm a 5-2 manifesting generator.
Oh,
And yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
so I've
Yeah.
just started learning about it, and I'm deep into the deconditioning process.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm about to complete my 5th year of like
Wow.
like participating in human design, experimenting is what they call it. So yeah, deep into deconditioning. They say 7 years to decondition. I feel like with like reframing and energy work and that kind of stuff, you can accelerate it. Maybe not, we'll see.
Hmm.
And then yeah, I mean, you could send me a message later. I could give you some of my insights. I've got books and apps and all sorts of stuff.
Right. So is your strategy to wait to respond as well?
Yeah, 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 yeah. The so it says I'm open emotional and then define sacral. So it's just responding in the moment, unless there's external influences that make the emotional active, and then you want to wait on that. And then the manifesting part, depending on if you're listening to like quantum human design or regular human design, if from that perspective, it's just to tell people what you're going to do before you do it. And then that
Hmm.
streamlines the process more. That's the quantum human design perspective. So, because manifestors are supposed to just tell people and then do things. So if you blend both together, that's the difference. Um, but essentially to respond, right? So then the question is like, what are we responding to? Like, what is a response? And then so when external stimulus comes, you like check in, and then if it feels like a yes, and then there's all sorts of different ways to decide what that is, and that's the indicator to go with it. One of the ways I really feel into that now is it's like I feel like my body is like a creature, and then it's like, does this choice feel like more life force? Does it feel like, oh yeah? And then that's like my body, like, yeah, let's do it. Because then there's other times when it's like, do you want to do that? And the body's like, yeah, no. It's like, okay, then I'm not gonna make you do that. Okay, cool. And so I'm getting more in touch with it like that. And then it fits so well into things like highest excitement formula and these kinds of things because you could just ask yourself those kinds of questions. So how's it play out in your life?
Yeah, well, I love synchronicities. So when there's a synchronicity, that just makes me excited and like think, oh yeah, that I should go here. That's me responding to the universe that yeah, this is my path. I'm gonna go there. I still am stuck in my mind sometimes because I used to be very type A and have a plan and stick to it, even if my body was like, stop running and moving and doing these things. I was like, nope, we're gonna do it anyway. So yeah, just still experimenting and sometimes learning harder lessons than I would like. But yeah, it's definitely interesting because sometimes my friends want to make plans on the weekends and I say like, okay, that sounds fun. Can we check in before we're going to do it because I don't know if I'll have energy for it or yeah. So that's I think probably frustrating for them, but a good practice for me.
Yeah. I'd highly recommend that, especially with the two in your profile, because that's the hermit or from Gene Keys, it's like gifted, talented
Yeah.
person as well. So like, it's the idea of really understanding your own energy levels, and like we can like broaden that out beyond human design, which like for anyone with any design, it's like when you're making a decision and agreeing with anyone on anything, it's like when we bring it back to like Eckhart Tolle, now moment, this kind of stuff, it's like every decision is best made from the now to get the most alignment from the personal experience. So I come back to that anyway. And then when I consider friends that I have, because I have some people in my life who are way better at that, just go with the flow, change plan last minute, and other people are like really rigid, like when someone does that to me, I was like, okay, whatever. So if I'm going to be that way and have that effect on someone, it's like, okay, whatever. So it encourages that go with the flow attitude, and that's I feel that for me being in like a flow state, go with the flow is like one of the most valuable, fun, enjoyable, magical moments. So to cultivate that feels really great to me. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I've had the luxury of going with the flow for months and I love it and I'm gonna keep flowing into 2025. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a new, I've been a teacher most of my like professional career, and so that disrupts my flow all the time. But for the past 5 years, I've only taught half of the year because flow has become more important to me than that. So yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to come of my life moving forward because I feel like I am more in flow state and it's enjoyable. And yeah, I'm gonna keep following the magic and trust that more magic will happen.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, okay. So we were talking about I generated some images, but I want you to describe when we're in the sessions and you're like deep in those states and you're having the magical inner experience that comes up that's helping you develop the skills of the flow and connection and super consciousness and trusting and all this kind of stuff that comes up. So if you want to share anything about that, you're welcome to. But and I was pointing at what are the images, like you describe them, because I would love to share them with you and see your reaction of how close I got to your inner image.
Okay. Well, I often feel like I'm floating in the ocean. So that is a common theme. There's a lot of golden light and golden threads of light. And there's also a lot of flight. I think one of the coolest or most profound um, experiences where it was where I felt connected to the beginning of life in the ocean on Earth, and then like the furthest star. So having that experience simultaneously, I just felt stretched and expanded in such a way that was beautiful and still leaves a lasting impact. And if or whenever I feel expanded in a similar way in real life, yeah, it's always a good feeling. So yeah, there's a lot of a lot of cosmic, a lot of um, a lot of bubbles and lights and reflective holographic qualities. Um, I don't know, I'm probably missing some. I'm sometimes surprised, but one of the skills that you definitely have is being present and juggling all of those images simultaneously and even from consecutive weeks building up and then sharing that back to me and reflecting it back to me. And that is, yeah, definitely one of your gifts that I really appreciate because I don't even know what's going on with all the multifaceted images and multi dimensions. And yeah, and I always appreciate your summaries. So I'm curious to see these images.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Yeah, let's just start with that. So I'm also wondering like how that affects you, but I feel I'll go to that question next. Okay, so attempting to share screen. This is like my first attempt at this. So is it working? Can you see that?
It is loading.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go
Wow.
like one at a time here. How's that one feel to you?
Yeah, the golden light coming in definitely, and the threads coming out on the bottom, yes, definitely, and how they feed back up. Yeah, very
Awesome.
cool.
So I don't know, I got like 10 of these maybe. So I'm just going to the next one.
Yeah, the whimsical floating flying threads remind me of like the living matrix that I see, which is what cocoons me. And yeah, the light from above is also expressed through me. So this one definitely feels more like what I see. And up top is kind of like a nautilus, which is yeah, all kinds of fractal images that I'm seeing also that I probably don't even articulate.
Awesome.
Very cool.
This one's more bubbly.
Whoa! Yeah. I like this one because I feel like I could float back in that and that's the feeling I get. Yeah, I've never seen foam like that, but yeah, it's like it seems more solid like I could fall back on it. So I like the feeling of seeing that one. And the alignment is definitely what I feel all the time with that golden light.
Awesome.
Very cool. Whoa.
Felt
Yeah,
like you were describing this. Yeah, yeah, go for it.
this one feels more like last week specifically when you had me like focusing in on the void and the space to relax into instead of letting all the energy hit me. And it's funny, I think I mentioned that I'm in a city now, and it's so strange walking on city blocks where I'm like maneuvering through people or walking at a different thing. And I'm just envisioning like all these comets coming at me and me just maneuvering through them. But yeah, this one definitely reminds me of last week's session. So
Awesome.
cool. Oh, I like the depth of this one and the sometimes, yeah, I definitely always feel that energy that I say, the toroid. I think I say it wrong sometimes, but yeah, that one kind of captures that. And yeah, it's those golden threads that I always see in a couple dimensions. So, ooh,
Okay.
yeah, this one's neat. I definitely feel the bubble. Like this was the bubble, the protective bubble that I felt like I was in that only lets in like certain light comet energy. So yeah, that one feels like being protected inside of the bubble too. Very cool. And then that living matrix network outside of it. Ooh, this one's cool because it's way more multidimensional. And yeah, wow, that's more like the cloud of energy I see sometimes. And yeah, I love that it looks like stars above because I'm always seeing or feeling shooting stars or things from the galaxy. So, yeah, that one's cool too. Ooh. This is like swimming in the golden in the yeah, so I sometimes when I close my eyes, I don't feel like I'm swimming in the golden, but now I want to swim in the golden light because that just kind of overlaps a lot of the imagery that I see separate sometimes. Whoa. I love this one because I always see a golden path in front of me. And this reminds me specifically, I think I listened to a recording and I felt like fairy godmother something, but then it like became a hoop dress below me. So this is like the golden hoop dress that yeah, I saw once. Um, So it's neat because I think sometimes I see like a fraction of these images. So I'm not seeing the whole picture. And then it's cool how it's like, oh, maybe I just saw a sliver of that when this is a more holistic image of it.
Yeah.
Yes. I love this one. It's like a cosmic sea. And yeah, that bubble, that like permeable membrane. Yeah, it's just a sphere of light like that.
Yeah, yeah. Like I feel like this one matches what I hear you say to me pretty often.
Yeah, and I love that it's like a golden sea below. Yeah, and it's connecting to something on the earth, even though it's very cosmic, which, yeah, I guess being in the ocean is or like being in water or flow is like what grounds me to the earth with all of this energy, super consciousness work. Wow.
Okay, that's the last one for this set. So stopping the share.
Wow. So cool. Those would be fun to kind of just like have in my mind's eye while I'm, yeah. I mean, I could keep creating mental images, but it would be also fun to just meditate and connect on those images.
Yeah, yeah. So I used uh Co Copilot, Bing, Dolly, like that, those to generate them. Um, And then yeah, like after one of the sessions, like we were talking about it, you were given all like the last one we had, you were like so detailed of like the inner reality and the protective bubble and how you're in the flow and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh, I know exactly what I want to do to share back to you. So I made a lot of those, and I picked out some highlights that I thought captured it really well. Yeah, I can share those back to you as well. Link them to you. You can have them. Um,
Thank
so
you. That's so cool.
yeah, you're welcome. Co-creative. And so when so here's the question. So you're having all these like mind-blowing mystical experiences and and what if you're in the Dr. Joe retreat or whatever, that's the thing that like all the supercharged reality creators, they want to have those experiences over and over again. But like, okay, so like what for like for to make it like something that makes sense to people, what is the benefit? Like, how does that serve you? Like, why does it matter that you have these visions and experiences?
Well, oftentimes it's connected to an intention. So if I have an intention that is connected to one of these experiences, and then I see it reflected back out to me, then if I see it reflected to me in some way, it's like, oh, I had this intention, and then it's being reflected back to me. So it's helping me to move forward and it's helping me on my path for my soul's calling, and it's helping me for other goals that yeah, so like one of the transformations that my sister is like, oh, she's like, you don't talk about your ex anymore. I'm like, yeah, I know, there's no emotional charge there, like I'm over it finally, because I was like in this state of suffering for months. And then yeah, so that's a big transformation for my sister, who I talk to all the time, to be like, wow, something in you has changed. And then, I've had this idea for like being an entrepreneur and working for myself forever. And I've actually taken action on it. And I've created a Facebook group, and I'm creating lives, and I'm developing the skill of communicating authentically and vulnerably from my heart. And I'm doing that on lives, I'm doing that on weekly calls, and that's what I want to do more of. So it's like this beautiful layering where I'm learning these skills, I'm practicing these skills, but I'm meeting these people and having these opportunities. And I don't know where it's going to lead, but I feel like I'm progressing on my path. Like Love Her Wild interviewed me, and then I like met all these women that I invited into my group. And then what else? I've been thinking about synchronicity stories forever, and I wrote them just for myself, like as like a diary of like, these are all so cool. And I had 10,000 pages. And then I shared it in a group, or not 10,000 pages, I'm sorry, 10,000 words. 10,000 pages would be insane. Lord of the Rings. Um, so yeah, anyway, I ended up sharing it with this group, and one of the people who commented happened to be a writing coaching memoir coach. So it's just like all these little things are just like, I don't know. It's amazing how it's just I'm building more trust and confidence to keep going, because I don't even know how I'm going to be delighted and surprised if I keep trusting those nudges and going and following, and then having more synchronicities. And yeah, it's definitely an exciting path to be on.
Wow, awesome. Like your energy is so like charged
I
up
know.
right now.
It's cold. It's cold in here, but I'm like burning up right now. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just like taking all that in. So you have like this amazing list of synchronicities specifically around your intentions, and part of that is around like entrepreneur business, putting yourself out there. It's also playing out in a way that's like super fun and exciting and amazing and magical. And you also had amazing healing transformations. Like I remember when you brought up the heartbrokenness, and we shifted that out really, really easily, actually. Like, the super consciousness like just blasted it out of you. And yeah, so now you're getting more external confirmation on like your inner transformation, your personal well-being, the people you're now bringing into your life. And so that's my recap. And so like you feel that the work we've done together is directly contributing to that.
Absolutely, because I was at this standstill forever where I just had ideas but was kind of perpetuating a similar reality. And yeah, it feels like by having those intentions and goals and connecting to the feelings and sensations that I want to experience, I'm experiencing more of my intentions. Yeah, because yeah, I definitely feel like there's a direct connection. Um, yeah, I don't know how I would prove it in a scientific paper, but yeah, there seems to be a connection, correlation, and causation.
There was like a slight second you chopped that. Did you say like you didn't write a scientific paper? Didn't quite hear something right there.
I I don't know how I would write a scientific
Oh,
paper on this, but yes, I would say there's definitely a connection. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So that reminds me. Like another thing that came up was we talked about your unique essence, and your unique abilities, and how you are. You have a passion for science and culture and all this stuff. So how has exploring your unique essence and unique abilities, only a few weeks ago, how has that positively affected you?
So Bashar talks about permission slips, and by you just asking that question, it's given me a permission slip to be okay with all my seemingly unrelated interests. So yeah, I'm just owning it, and I've asked a lot of loved ones about what they think my unique abilities are, and the response I got from them was overwhelming. And I don't think I would have been able to believe what they said, except now because of the vibrational state I'm in. It was like, oh yeah, wow, this is beautiful. But of course, they think these things. And yeah, I do have a lot to offer. And yeah, so that's been kind of cool. And then just talking with people, like I just share, oh yeah, my unique essence is this. What do you think yours is? So it's just in conversations now, which is really exciting. And um, yeah, just like people I haven't heard from in a while, or like opening up to me and sharing some of their unique essences. So it's just another way to connect with people on a deeper level, which I also love to do. So it's been really enjoyable. And I've been limited by technology in some ways, but once I get to a computer and I can like actually type everything up quickly, it's going to be a whole new game because I've already filled a journal, but yeah, I can type a lot faster than I can write.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, like talking about it being like a conversation piece. Like I love starting conversations with like what's exciting or like what's your passion? Like, a lot of people do like small talk stuff. I like to go straight for the like, oh, what matters to you the most? And so it
Yeah.
really opens up that level of connectivity with people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's changing the dynamics of certain conversations with people if I am leading with that or talking about that. It's like, oh, I didn't know we could talk about this, but we are. So, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely love
awesome.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So another thing that you've mentioned a few times, we've talked about intention, and like one of the ways, like I've talked about intention a lot over the years, but what I found made the biggest difference in intention is aiming for the intention that is the most meaningful, impactful, matters to you the most. So like, how does intending in that way affect you? And then like, what are some of your intentions? How's that evolving for you?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that sometimes I'm surprised by what comes out because, my ego has these certain intentions and it's like, well, how come that's not my highest intention in the moment? Um, so obviously infinite intelligence knows better than I do. Or yeah. So yeah, meaningful intentions mean that I get to see evidence of those meaningful intentions. So, like early on, I remember trust was one of my meaningful intentions, and trust was what was kind of making it hard for me to get over my ex. And it was also making it hard for me to take action on my soul's calling. So, I just keep on developing more trust with all the crazy synchronicities I see. Like, angel numbers and palindromes is one thing, but then when they combine, or it's like always the same numbers, like all fours or four fours, it's just like, oh my goodness. So, like, the level of trust just keeps on going up exponentially because of the layers of synchronicity, or just, yeah, it's like I didn't know that this one could also show that I'm connected and I could trust more. So it's cool how intentions from the beginning are still unfolding. Um, and yeah, I mean, they're all kind of interconnected as well. So I'm beginning just to notice how everything's all connected and just makes me feel more whole and more like myself. And therefore, any intention I choose is going to help me to become more of that, to become more connected. So it's things are just melding together and seeming less separate, which is a beautiful thing because harmony was one of my intentions one week, and then just seeing how like everything was coming together and harmonizing was like, oh, what a beautiful intention. And now I'm seeing evidence of it and feeling more whole, and that feels really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love you sharing that. Just like as you were saying that was showing up is like talking about the harmonizing and the connecting. And that's also like when you're talking about the unique ability and how you had these seemingly different passions, expressions, whatever, and they all come down to the same root essence that like expresses out through them. And so like as you're intending more like harmony and wholeness. You're now seeing like these different parts come together, and then you're seeing how it can now express out into your maybe your entrepreneurship or your relationships or your interactions or your day-to-day explorations. And so it's really inspiring and amazing to watch how that stacks and blends and evolves and grows, and there's like a momentum.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It can be crazy. Like I do get really energized and excited, and I'm still learning to relax into it, and breathing more helps me to do that. But yeah, it feels really good to, yeah, to feel more whole and connected, and to be willing and able to shine and radiate all parts of myself. And um, intellectually, I think I've known like, oh, you have to like self-discovery and all this stuff, but it's like now that I'm actually on the path, it's so joyful. And um I don't think I'll ever go back to whatever I was doing before, because yeah, it's a way better way to let life unfold than to like plan for disappointment or whatever I was doing.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I came to the same conclusion. I prefer to be in a relaxed, surrendered, fun flow that's also like relaxed and exciting. It's like this blend of both. Because like I can get
Mm,
really, really, really excited. At the same time, can I like relax into the flow of that? And then if I'm in that space and like really, really trusting the super consciousness, divine intelligence, infinite intelligence, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And so then it's like, okay, I'm just gonna let it show me, and like I'm driving in a sense with like intentions, but I'm getting my intention from it. And then I just like the better I get, it's all I talk about a lot, it's all skills. Like the better I get at just like being that, this like trusting the connection, trusting the flow, acting on the inspired moment with relaxed fun excitement all at the same time. It's all this like simultaneous thing, so words don't really do it. And like the more that that's happening, the better life feels, the more magical things are, the more synchronicities show up, and then the momentum grows, and then even more starts showing up, and they just keep letting that happen. And it's like the magic trick that's been increasingly clear to me is the relaxing is actually the accelerating. That's like how you take your foot off the brakes,
mm-hmm.
and the gas is already happening because like you already have the intent, you already have the energy. So then it's like the more I could just relax into the acceleration, the more it just happens. Yeah, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah. It I I'm seeing one of your images, but yeah, it feels like floating and flying. Those are the feelings that I always feel in my body. And yeah, floating backwards or flying backwards or just relaxing into it and letting, yeah, relaxing into it is more of what I need to do, and the skill that I'm developing while all of this is accelerating. Um, and yeah, I one of the things I love is that the skill was so like I had to try for it so much in the beginning, and now it's just happening. And it's like this kind of unconscious skill that I'm reminded of with signs and synchronicities now. So I guess that's one way that I'm relaxing into it. But then yeah, the energy is always there when I see those signs or synchronicities, and I'm just like, oh my god, like no one on the street is gonna know what's happening, but I really want to tell someone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's the joy of having you know, like being in the program, having another person to share things with. So it could be like, this is happening. We get it, you know. Um, oh, so we're talking about like the super consciousness and the mind, and then the it becoming a skill. And so one of the things I just want to emphasize is like the each time the mind, like ego, whatever you want to call it, like connects into super consciousness, and there's this moment of the connection. And you know, in the imagery, you got like the golden light or whatever, may look different for different people. But in that moment, it's like the infinite intelligence is like reprogramming the mind, and so it's like we get this download that like changes the operating system. And then since it's a skill, like there's that idea of like unconscious, unconfident, and then conscious, confident to
Yeah.
unconscious competence. Yeah, there we go. And so that's like what I hear you describing, right? It's like, oh, first it's like, oh yeah, this is something that I wasn't even aware of, and now I'm aware of it. And now I've practiced it enough that I can do it. And now I've gotten so good at it, it's become an automatic response where the natural mind's operating system is running this way. And so that's like one of the big values of having like extended, like the, you know, the program's multiple months, right? So it's like the value of re-accessing the skills over and over again, so we can train that unconscious activation. And then there was also specific exercises around like the inner helpers and that kind of stuff, so to automate it even more. Yeah, so how's that feel to you?
I wish I paid more attention to when that shift happened or when the change occurred, because now I just kind of take it for granted and appreciate that it's part of my being that I love. And I guess I could go back and watch recordings and see where I was and see how much I had to shift or transform to have a better understanding of the evolution. But it's been a pretty fast evolution. And yeah, I've definitely feel like it's a skill that I don't have to think about as much. Um, but also then there's all these layers. So just when I feel like, oh, I got this skill, and you know, my ego might maybe even has the intention already planned out for this week or something, and then it's like, oh, we're doing this whole new thing that's completely different than whatever I was thinking we were going to be doing. So I really appreciate that. And um, yeah, I have been engaged and like learning new skills simultaneously. And I love that because it's anything but boring, but it's, yeah, that expansiveness, that like super stretching expansiveness that I love. So yeah, I enjoy being surprised and um, yeah, just letting new layers unfold.
Yeah. So talking about the timing, what I notice working with clients in general, and it's like the window is like 2 to 6 weeks. Generally like the 3 week mark is when there's like a lock-in of skill, and then like an acceleration of synchronicity that relates to it. And so it's like, so you know, so every 3 weeks or so is about when there's another like launch ramp pad on it, where then it, you know, you're like, whoa, this is what's going on. Oh, it's like this now. Whoa. Yeah, so that's my approximation time of that. Does that how's that seem to you?
Yeah, that seems accurate and relevant. And yeah, I think I remember once saying like last week felt like a breakthrough, but this feels like you had some AI term for it. But yeah, it was an exponentially stronger breakthrough than the one that was already mind blowing the week before. So yeah, if we keep going at that kind of accelerating, I'll be really good at relaxing into it and accelerating with that momentum.
Yeah, yeah. I got more lessons for you, so it'll be really interesting to see how you continue to integrate them and uh keep transforming with it, really. Um, is there anything else you want to add or suggest or anything?
Um, I wanted to talk about transformations and synchronicities and I think I shared everything I was hoping to. Yeah.
Awesome. So I got a question for you. Would you recommend the program?
Absolutely, 100% yes. And um, you know, a lot of my imagery too is like before skydiving, you have to like jump out of the plane or like you have to duck before you do a tumble salt or and initially the it took me a while. Like, yes, I was gonna sign up and then I was like, oh, but I don't have connection, or like, oh, I'm gonna let the money prevent me from doing it. And looking back, it's like, thank goodness I trusted and took the risk and let this momentum build because it has been a very rewarding experience. It's been fun. And yeah, the transformation isn't only visible to me, but my loved ones. So yeah, it's been pretty phenomenal and it's only been a couple of months. So yeah, highly
Oh,
recommend it.
awesome. Thank you. So I got one more follow-up question about that. So what do you feel is like the transformation that you experienced that you got from the program that you couldn't have gotten otherwise? Or maybe would have taken longer otherwise. I feel you're a fully competent, capable being. You
Yeah,
don't have to have me.
I think um, I think the heartache would have lasted a lot longer because of the stories I was telling myself. And it was just like, thank goodness I left that baggage and I'm like being present. So yeah, I think that would have taken longer. And then the the sensations, the closing my eyes and having sensations and feelings, um, and then all that mental imagery that comes with it, that's a new experience and that's my new favorite experience. So closing my eyes and having and noticing the sensations and feelings I have in my body and then the mental images that come along with it. Yeah, that's a new skill that I've developed and I love and I can't wait to experience more of. So, yeah, that feels like something unique to this program.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Well, so this has been a super, super fun call. I feel like I would love to invite you back to do this again in a few weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, awesome. So yeah, this is feeling like a place where the call is naturally landing. So thank you so much for joining. This has been like so much fun. Like I'm in like bliss state right now. So thank you for joining.
Thank you for facilitating the whole program and this call. Bye,
Awesome.
Ken.
Yeah.